Did they lie or did they just not know what they're doing? Iron Fortress has definitely changed. Let's get into it. What's up YouTube, it's Auth. Now today I've got a video for you guys. There's been a lot of talk about what's going on with Iron Fortress. Can we still make it unkillable? Can we still use Paragon? Can we still use unkillable teams? And I'm just going to clear that up for you guys. Now, Plarium intended to make a change where they nerf Paragon not to be able to solo the Iron Fortress boss. They were intending, or they were trying to make it so that the unkillable strategy would still work, but Paragon won't be able to solo it. However, what Plarium don't understand is if you take one champion out of an unkillable composition, the whole team falls apart because it is a well put together team and you can't really afford to lose one of the key components of your team. So if any champion in your team dies, your team's going to fall apart. So after 40% HP is left on the boss, his A1, which is his single target hitting ability, will ignore Unkillable and kill one of your champions. That means the Unkillable team we were running with man-eaters no longer works. Now I'm going to show you guys a new composition. We've basically adjusted what we were doing, and because you can't use Unkillable, you can still run block damage. I put together a composition and I'm going to showcase it for you guys right on this video. Now before we jump into it, can you guys please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button? It helps the channel to grow massively, and we are trying to grow, trying to make sure we get these videos out to as many people as we can, and that's on you guys. So make sure you smash the like button and leave a sub if you enjoy the content. So here's the teams we were running before. We were running Geomancer, 2 Painkeepers and 2 Man-Eaters. So we were having the Painkeepers reset our Man-Eaters so our Man-Eaters can keep the Unkillable up. But because the Unkillable buff now gets ignored by the boss's A1, so if you see here, the ability will say, will ignore unkillable buffs whenever the Iron Twins HP is equal to or lower than 40%. So this team can still work. I've tried it. I've had around about 80% win rate with this team. However, it's not consistent because if your Geomancer gets cleansed at the 40% or the 45% mark of this boss, you won't have enough damage to be able to kill the boss before he kills your team one by one. So you don't really want to run this team. If you don't have any other options, you can try playing around with it. But now I'm bringing a different strategy, which is going to be based more around block damage than it will be unkillable, because the boss ignores unkillable buffs. And this is the team. We are taking out 1 Man-Eater for a Painkeeper, so there will be 3 Painkeepers now, and we're taking out the other Man-Eater for a Rush Guard. Now this Rush Guard can be a Helicath. I know a lot of people did the Helicath fusion. They use him in Clan Boss, so you have him. He works just fine because he's a 4-turn cooldown on a 2-turn block damage buff, so he can work here too. I don't prefer him because he counterattacks, which makes the runs slightly slower, so I prefer Rush Guard. Rush Guard is the best one to use for this. Now this is not my account. As you can see, my clanmate DMP has been kind enough to let me come onto his account and let me showcase this team, because being eager and testing throughout the day, I ran out all of my keys. So now I've jumped on his account to quickly showcase this for you guys. Now, the good thing about this account is that it has War Master on a few champions. Now, in my last guide, I did mention War Master is not something you want. However, you'll see on this video why. Maybe you'll be able to see the War Master proccing and taking this boss past the threshold of where he does his counterattack or his passive damage, whatever you want to call it. So it's not something you want to take, and you'll see why you don't want to take it in this video, hopefully. So we're running Geomancer lead. Lead does not matter when we're running Rush Guard, and then 3 Painkeepers. Same sort of strategy. We're getting block damage, unkillable from Rush Guard, and then we're having 3 resets from our Painkeepers, and then we get our damage from our Geomancer. Now, Geomancer's passive, he has 2 sides to his passive. One is he does enemy max HP on the boss, and that does not matter whether he gets damage or not. As long as he gets hit, his enemy max HP can proc. The second part of it, he reflects a certain amount of damage back onto the attacker. Now, because we're not taking any damage, that part of the passive will not work, but you will still see enemy max HP go back onto the boss from the reflect damage, and that's how we're going to be killing this boss. As you can see, we're already 40 seconds into the fight. We've done around about 30% damage. This team will definitely be slightly slower than the Man-Eater team, but I don't imagine it will be too much slower. If I have to put a number on it, I'd say 20 seconds on average, maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds on average. You'll see the time lost, but it won't be a crazy amount of difference in the times of clear for this boss. Now, we can talk about whether the change for Unkillable was necessary, or does this even make any difference? All this does, it reduces the pool of champions we can run for this. We are still running Unkillable. Call it block damage, call it Unkillable, it's Unkillable. We cannot be killed. We won't take any damage, therefore we will not die, therefore we are Unkillable. So I don't really understand what this nerf really was meant to achieve, apart from just making the pool of champions that we can run even smaller. Sonic is a champion who is technically free to play because you can pick up 6 dupes and then pick him up from the token trader. I don't know if Plarium didn't want a free champion to be able to do it. Then we have the Painkeeper too. They didn't want anybody soloing with Painkeeper. It really makes you ask the question, why did they not nerf block damage? Why only Unkillable? You still can't run AoE strategies with Unkillable, even though they wanted to nerf single Unkillable buff. So it's a bit of a weird change, but again, Plarium make the change, we adapt, we find different ways to beat the content. And now Plarium is in the position where they try to nerf a strategy. They said they were only going to nerf one champion, but they ended up nerfing a strategy. We built a different strategy, which technically does the same thing, but it just got a different name on it. So now it's the block damage team rather than the Unkillable team. As you can see, 2 minutes and 2 seconds, the team does come in around about 10 seconds, 20 seconds slower than the Man-Eater team on average because of the reflect damage, but it's nothing to worry about. It is, again, 100% block damage. You will not be taking any damage. The only time you might take damage is from the counter attacks if you proc the enemies, if you proc the Iron Fortress boss past a threshold, and it happens to be that you did it on a turn where your block damage on one of your champions has already run out. So it is an unlikely scenario. However, you want to make sure you are limiting the damage your champions are doing. So make sure, if you can avoid taking enemy max HP Warmaster on Geomancer, if you're not running him Hydra, then make sure you don't take it. And if you are using Painkeeper for Clan Boss, there's nothing much you can do. If you need that damage, fair enough. But if you can use a Painkeeper at level 1, 3-star, I would recommend running that over using your Clan Boss Painkeeper. It's 2x Void, so hopefully you guys picked up some Painkeepers. But let me show you the presets of this team. As you can see, we have Geomancer opening and prioritizing his A3 where he lands the burn, then does passive damage. We disable the A2 because the animation is slow. Then we have A3 on priority from Rush Guard. Not much to explain, 1 block damage. Just prioritize block damage. We have our 2 slower Painkeepers delaying their first turn, and then we have our fastest Painkeeper doing the reset immediately. It doesn't make too much of an issue, but you can play around this with a little bit. If you feel like your Painkeeper isn't fast enough or they're not resetting in time, you can switch this around, move this around, but this works perfectly fine. I've tried this at 2 different speeds. I tried it on my account. All of my Painkeepers were 220 speed, my Geomancer was 240, and my Rush Guard was 250. On this account, you can see the Geomancer is 230, Rush Guard is 256, and the Painkeeper, one of them is 242, the other ones are 220. So those are the speeds you can run. You can prioritize combat tactics, make sure you do that. Make sure you book combat tactics. And the last thing I would mention is leave Spectacular Sweep on, because if you leave this on, the animation is going to happen quicker, which is going to save you time in the run. So I'm just going to run it one more time and show you guys the consistency for it. The last run I believe is around about 2 minutes. Let's see what we can do for this run. See if we can get closer to our old speed, old time. I've definitely seen this team do 1 minute and 20 seconds, so it can do a fast clear because the enemy max HP is really where the damage is at. The reflect damage per HP is not that big. It really is the enemy max HP that does the big damage from Geomancer. So here we have the A2 coming out from our Painkeeper, then the other Painkeeper is just doing the reset. We hit 1 cleanse, which is a little bit unfortunate. I would say every time you hit into a cleanse, you're probably going to add on another 20 seconds or maybe 10 seconds, because when he cleanses, then your burn falls off, unfortunately. But it shouldn't be too much of an issue. We have 3 resets, and we have a Geomancer on a 3-turn cooldown. So every time he takes a turn after the Painkeeper's reset, he should have his burn available for him. Around about 1 minute, we are around about 60% through the boss's HP. Looks like we're getting a little bit resisted. I'm not sure if this Geomancer is the full 580 accuracy I recommend. But if your Geomancer isn't 580 accuracy, make sure you are running him with 580 accuracy. In this patch, they did mention that they fixed the magic affinity boss's resistance, so you no longer need 600 accuracy or 620. As long as you have 580 accuracy, you're completely fine with Geomancer now. So that seems to be the run. We're looking like we're coming in around about just under 2 minutes, I'd say. It will be a 2-minute fight, maybe 145. 146 run. So this is it. I'll quickly show you the masteries. I'll show you the War Masters that these champions are running. It's not something yet that you want to take. You don't want to be taking a War Master on these champions. Our Roshgar doesn't have any masteries, so that's fine. This Geomancer is built for Hydra, so the War Master's there. I haven't taken this on. I thought I'd show you guys some of the enemy max HP procs. If it procs the threshold, see what kind of risks it has. But it worked. I would still recommend you not running it. If you can, dedicate a Geomancer to this completely. 650 accuracy, doesn't need to be that high. 580 is enough, although you still have a 3% chance of getting resisted. Painkeeper, she's not in Toxic because you don't want Toxic. He's running Fury, DMP's running Fury, I assume for Clan Boss, which is fair enough. 242 speed, I believe this is the speed that you probably need for Clan Boss, so fair enough. Then he has 224 speed on his second Painkeeper, and on his third Painkeeper he has 221 speed. If you get a third Painkeeper that's spare, you don't need to do anything but book that Painkeeper. You don't need masteries, so you can dedicate 3 different Painkeepers at level 30 for this and it will work completely fine. So that's the team. Let me know what you guys think of the team. Let me know what you guys think about the change that Plarium did and how effective you think it really will be in the long term. Leave a like, leave a sub, and I'll catch you guys in the next upload. Peace.